It's the first globally televised robotic sport. And in a minute, we'll tell you why this very well could be the league of the future. Taking you inside drone racing right now at the Nasdaq MarketSite. Hello, everyone. It's Jabari Young, senior writer here at Forbes, and I am joined by Nicholas Horbaczewski, the CEO of Drone Racing League at the Nasdaq MarketSite. Nicholas, thank you so much for joining us. We'll get that out of there. Here at Financial Literacy Month, I like to start off things with the theme of the month, and it's financial literacy. So tell me, Nick, what's the best thing or the biggest thing you've learned about financial literacy in your life?
The power of compounding interest.
Wow.
What is it that Einstein said? It's once you understand it, it changes the world. Just the ability to grow things and making smart decisions early and seeing that grow over time.
Yeah, you sound like Warren Buffett there, compounding.
Yeah.
He's a big fan of that, man. So tell me, what's going on with the Drone Racing League, man? I've covered this league for a while in my previous stint, going deep into sports business, and I've always been intrigued with racing drones, right? I mean, the setup is interesting. It's going through, you're seeing these little devices going, and it has quite the crowd, man.
Yeah.
A lot of Gen Z guys. What's going on with the Drone Racing League?
It's very exciting times with the Drone Racing League. We're through 8 seasons of racing. We've taken this sort of idea of a sport and brought it to the whole world.
Yeah.
We've got 90 million fans globally, 15 million social followers. All people are being introduced to this exciting sport. And you say it's a robotic sport, so on the field of play, you got these ultra high-speed drones that we build. They go from 0 to 90 in less than a second. They race these complex three-dimensional courses, lots of crashing, lots of excitement. And we're building a new sport for a new generation of technology enthusiast fans.
Yeah, for somebody who's like never heard of Drone Racing League before, right? One sentence, how would you describe it? Like for a fifth, you walk into a fifth grade class and they say, hey, we see these nice little drones, but what is the Drone Racing League? How would you describe it?
It's basically Formula One, but with drones. We do a global circuit of races with the top pilots in the world using the fastest drones. And at the end of the season, the world champion, who's the greatest drone pilot on the planet.
Right. Okay. So is it a 2024 season coming up?
Yeah, it's coming up. We're going to announce it soon. Yeah.
Okay. So it's not announced yet.
Not yet.
You want to give us a preview of when it's going to happen?
No. We save those announcements at big news. No, we typically start racing in the fall.
Okay, in the fall.
Yeah.
Okay, but it is going to be a 2024 season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So take me inside of the Drone Racing, man. You're headquartered here in New York, and as you said, the concept, you're racing drones, 90 miles an hour, first-person view is what they're doing there. And I had a chance to, again, cover the league and look at the videos. Very, very interesting setup, the way that you put those goggles on and you're going through it, and it's almost like you're a pilot, right?
Yeah.
But operating these very, very interesting devices.
Yeah, the pilots are wearing these goggles, and what they're seeing is a video feed off the front of the drone. And so we also say it's like sitting in the cockpit of the drone.
Yeah.
And then they're navigating at very high speed through these courses. But, it's like flying a rocket ship at 90 miles an hour through a stadium, which is where we hold our events. So it's really thrilling for the pilots. It's really thrilling for the fans. So it's a very new form of sports entertainment.
Yeah. Last time I checked, man, this was a league that I know you guys have raised over $100 million to date. And PitchBook, according to them, they had estimated there was a value of 120 million, 185 value as of 2022. Any update there? Is it still around that range, 185?
We're pushing that now. That's a little old. That's back from what, 22?
Yeah, 2022.
So,
That's
they're a little out of date.
Right.
They're a little out of date. But yeah, we just keep growing.
Right.
We've had an incredible couple of seasons. We just announced we just started a deal with Reach TV. We're now going to be another 500,000 TVs and screens around the world in places like airports and hotels, just reaching an even broader audience.
Right. So is it over 200 million value you're saying right now?
Yeah, we don't really talk about our valuation publicly, but yeah, that's a pretty old valuation.
Okay, great. So looking inside the business, man, listen, IBIS World estimates that this is about a 5.5 billion sector, and the reason such manufacturing seems to be the big thing for drones, right?
Yeah.
And so the manufacturing, how much is your revenue tied to the manufacturing side?
So the global drone industry, I've seen estimates like 60 billion plus in terms of drones are being used everywhere now across so many different industries. Our industry is a bit more the industry of sports, right? So we're putting on sports events and sports broadcasts, reaching audiences around the world. So we work with a lot of the top brands in the world, doing partnerships and sponsorships, so they have an opportunity to talk with our fans and engage with our audience.
Yeah, and some of the partnerships with MLB, right, and T-Mobile that you
T-Mobile, yep.
You guys did the world for Field of Dreams, if I'm not
We
mistaken.
did, yeah. We did a great partnership with T-Mobile. We built the world's first racing drone that flew on their ultra high-speed 5G network, just showing just how fast that network was.
Yeah.
And we did fly it around the Field of Dreams, which was really exciting.
Yeah. And look at your investors. You got some pretty good ones too. Liberty Media was the T-Mobile Ventures, RSE Ventures. This is Stephen Ross' own company. WWE, right? Was they invested? I was just at WrestleMania. Terrific time there. WWE. All of those people still invested.
Oh
in
yeah,
the
of course.
company?
Yeah.
Great. Any new ones that have come over the last year?
No, but we also have folks like CAA, the Global Talent Agency, Hearst, the Global Media Publication. And more. I mean,
Yeah.
it's an incredible list. What we're doing is hard. It's a combination of sports, technology, and media. And so our investors represent the best of those industries coming together to build something novel together.
And been up running since 2015?
2015, yeah, that's when we started.
Profitable?
Again, we don't really talk about our financials, but obviously we've been growing quite a bit, so it's been an exciting time for us.
Tell me, what's been the biggest surprise that you've learned, right? You got your own company now, 2015. I looked in your background, man. You were an analyst before. Get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But you have quite a big background. But now you're starting your own company. What's been the biggest surprise that you've learned about being the CEO of Drone Racing League?
Well, I think one of the interesting things, when you start a sport, I mean, this really had, the sport of drone racing was like this underground amateur sport. No one had heard of it. And to take that globally, to put it in front of 100 million people a year, there's a lot you don't know. And I would say, when you start a sport league, you don't pick your fans, they pick you. So we weren't sure who was going to watch this when we put it out. And that's been the most exciting part of the journey, is discovering that there's this group of fans. We call them tech centers. They're young, they're really into technology. They tend to be well-educated, affluent, and their entire lives revolve around tech, and they need a sport for them. The vast majority of them don't watch traditional sports.
Yeah.
That's not of interest to them, but they love drone racing, and they love technology. I would say they follow the next iPhone release so closely, but they don't really care how far Tom Brady can throw a football. So we've created a sport for them, and that's been the wildest experience. To get stopped in the airport for somebody who says, you made a sport that I can care about, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And how about the biggest negative surprise, right? That everybody needs to get something, do something better. What does Drone Racing League still need to improve on? What do you hear?
Well, I think the biggest surprise for us when I started the league was that this technology sort of existed in the wild, these drones, and so we thought we could take the drones and put on races. But what we discovered is that amateur tech, that consumer tech, was not robust enough for a professional sport. So we had to step back and build all of our own technology from the ground up. That's a pretty big shock when you go out and say, wait, we're actually going to be more of a technology company. And so we've had to go through all the challenges of building novel, advanced technology that has to work perfectly around the globe in front of an audience of tens of thousands in person and hundreds of millions on TV. To do that while also trying to create a sport and a brand and a league, that's a huge challenge. There's an old rule in entrepreneurship, which is pick one thing and do it incredibly well. Yeah. We picked 3 things and we had to do it perfectly, and that's a big challenge.
Yeah. What did you learn about that, though, man? Because you have to scale, you had to pivot. Because I think I was listening to one of the podcasts, and you would mention that even you had a distribution deal with ESPN.
Yeah.
And you were finding that the majority of your fans didn't even have the channel.
Yeah, that's right.
They were so busy. They're used to getting it nowadays, however they can get it, where they want it.
Yeah.
What are you learning, and what have you learned about ways to kind of get to that demographic, right?
Yeah.
And circumvent the traditional way?
Well, I think part of it is when you're creating something novel, you have to be willing to do new things. I mean, the traditional sports TV deal is to get onto linear TV and stay there. And we realized that our audience was watching on digital. So we've had to navigate the world of being both a linear sport and a digital sport. We call it wide streaming. We want to be on every digital channel possible, because for our fans, most of them aren't even cord cutters, they're cord nevers, right? So you have to find a way to get to them. You have to find a way to put the content in a place they want to watch it. And I think you can see some explosive growth on channels like TikTok and YouTube. We're really outperforming, and part of it's because we're taking the content the audience wants to the channels they want to be on. I think the old school philosophy of sort of I'm going to put this here and you're going to have to jump through whatever hoops you need to jump through to watch it, that doesn't work, especially for our fans, the generation that is digitally native.
Yeah, and I believe at one point y'all had more followers on TikTok than the NHL and NASCAR.
We do. That's still true. That's still true. Yeah. We outperform traditional sports on digital channels in an incredible way. Not a surprise to me because I know our fans and I know how digitally native they are, and we're speaking directly to them in the language they're used to and the channels they want to be on.
Yeah. Let's talk a little about your background, right? You grew up in Boston, and you're a young kid running around what did you want to be when you were growing up as a young kid?
So I came up through film. I always loved creating content and inspiring people through content. I spent my summers in high school working in special effects, did some film production. So I loved that idea of creating, but then got into the business side of it after college, started doing, as you said, I was a consultant. And then after that, got into technology and selling technology, especially into the US government, sort of really advanced technology and seeing how that could change the world. And then I moved over to sports. I was the chief revenue officer at Tough Mudder, the global mud run series. So I had this kind of mix of film and content creation, technology and sports, and it all came together for me when I created DRL, because that's what we are. We're a tech company wrapped in a media company wrapped in a sports league.
Yeah. Well, you listen. You you kind of said it, right? You fast forwarded there, went to Harvard, got a business degree from Harvard, but then a consultant at Bain and Company, right? Definitely. But you know, here you are, you find yourself, you know, coming up with this idea in 2015, right? And drone racing has been around for a while. 2010, over in Australia, they have been developing the concept, and here it is now. But you know, 2015, what hit you that you were saying, you know what, I think I can turn this into a business?
I think it was the opportunity, you know, right around late 2014, there started to be these videos going viral on YouTube of people racing drones, especially in France, racing through the woods. And they said, oh, it's like Star Wars and pod racing. And I thought, I'm totally captivated by this. Why isn't there a more mainstream version of this? Why isn't this more exciting? And, you know, I want to be able to go to a stadium, watch it. I want to watch it on sports TV. And so started working on that question of how we create it. But as I said, the lesson I learned was the answer was lots of people thought this was a great idea. The tech just hadn't caught up yet. We had to build that tech to make it possible. I mean, in the beginning, you had lots of companies trying to go out and build professional drone racing leagues, but until you could deliver that experience, people don't always think about that. For a technology-based sport, the technology has to be so perfect that it's invisible. Otherwise, it's not a sport, it's a spectacle. If the drones are falling out of the sky or it's constantly being interfered with, it doesn't feel fair, it doesn't feel like a sport. So we had to get over that hurdle to make something that we could take to the whole world. And having achieved that is the reason that we are the drone racing league. We are the global professional circuit for the sport.
What goes into building that tech when you say, you know, we had to provide it and build it up?
We have developed a lot of really novel technology. We design and build our own drones. So when you're watching the sport, all those drones are designed and built in-house at DRL. They're all identical, so everyone's just competing on pilot skill. We designed some really novel radio systems to connect the pilots to the drones. You think you got a drone flying on a radio, but you're in a stadium full of 10,000 people with all kinds of gizmos, and we've got TV broadcasts going on that can't get interfered with. So we had to think about all of that. We've built simulation technology. We have the DRL Sim, which is online. You can get it on PlayStation, Steam, Xbox, Epic. It'll teach you how to race drones and let you compete against your friends. We had to build our own physics engine for that, so it's realistic enough that if you learned on that, you could go and fly a real drone. All those steps of building the core technology and making it all work, so that when fans come and they engage with our sport or watch it, they're seeing a sport, they're seeing a competition. The technology is actually in the background.
How did you do it though? You had to go and develop a staff? Did you have to go overseas?
No. We had to recruit a whole team. We had to build people. You just mentioned all of our incredible investors. We had to raise capital for them, from all of them. You know, some of our first investors, RSC Ventures, you mentioned Steve Ross, has backed us from the very beginning because he understood the vision we're trying to achieve.
Did y'all show him this demo?
No. I literally walked in, Matt Higgins, who runs RSC Ventures, I walked in with a PowerPoint deck with sort of drawings of drones flying, and I explained the vision. He said, I see the vision. Go see if you can actually do it. And he's backed us. He's still our largest investor, backed us from a PowerPoint deck to being broadcast in, you know, over 100 countries around the world.
You know, it's so funny, when you hear drones, right, everybody is associated now with military because it's drone this, drone that. How much do you guys make that? I know you have a partnership with the U.S. Air Force, if I'm not mistaken. And you at one point was working with Lockheed Martin. What partnerships did you have from the government level that's allowing you to, you know, kind of stay afloat? Because they're relying on this tech. Drones are everywhere now, especially with, you know, all this geopolitical stuff.
I think what's amazing about drones is they are a really broad platform for a lot of different things. So USAF is our longest standing partner. We have worked with them for a long time, and we focus with them on recruiting, on developing people whose interests are, you know, our fans, interest in technology, aviation, helping them see career opportunities in the USAF. We just launched a program with them called Women Taking Flight, which is about getting more women interested in professional drone racing, in drones, in STEM technology. We're going to be building a whole educational program that we're rolling out to schools. They also focus a lot on diversity. They want to reach out to as many people as possible. We've got a program with HBCUs doing a drone design competition, showing people pathways to turn their love of either STEM or aviation or drones into career opportunities in the USAF. So there's a lot of different elements of this. You know, drones are they're exciting, they're fun, and we get to race them. So it's even more fun to sport. And we turn that into an opportunity to talk to a large group of people about STEM, about education, about aviation, and the opportunities to fly.
I also saw this is a drone soccer league. And I'm watching a video of that, and I'm looking at these kids, and as you kind of said, you see a whole bunch of, you know, companies like that luring students in for careers in aerospace and things of that nature, right? What does that look like? Are the kids kind of being introduced to these things? Are you seeing that, you know, return that, hey, they are going into those fields?
Yeah, I mean, that is the whole purpose of this, is the opportunity to go out and talk about it. You show them drones in an incredibly exciting way, and they say, oh, I want to fly, I want to understand how that thing flies, or what the technology is behind it, or how your radios work, and it begins this conversation driving it. I mean, right now, as we speak, our team is over at the School of Business in New York, Boss, and they are doing an educational program right now with the USAF. Our president, Rachel Jacobson, and Captain Reeder from the Air Force are presenting to students about STEM and technology and career opportunities, and how aviation can be a possibility, or technology can be a possibility for their entire lives. So we start early, get people excited about it, and engage them using drones, because they do suck people in.
Yeah, and that's a good infrastructure, right, to develop young talent. Does that help business-wise? Like, what does that look like for your future racers? How does that help your business stay afloat?
I think it's a beautiful virtuous cycle. It draws more people into the sport. It gets more people flying drones, which gives us even better pilots in the future. And then for our partners like USAF, it draws people into careers like STEM. I mean, you're watching this, not everybody's going to turn into a pro drone racer, but they might end up flying other aircraft. They might develop technology. They might go into aircraft maintenance, any of the fields that are really of interest, and sort of because that passion started when they saw that high-speed, exciting racing in the first place.
Yeah, if you had to describe the commercialization, right, the part of drone racing here in 2024, what stage would you say, describe it in one word, the commercialization of drone racing? Is it there yet?
It's accelerating, I'd say. I think most sports, when they start, one of the great challenges is bringing in partners and sponsors. We've achieved that. You mentioned we're with some of the best brands in the world, from T-Mobile to Google Cloud and more, and the opportunity to work with those brands and to solve their problems, working with the USAF on things like recruiting and STEM education, diversity and inclusion in the workplace, those are awesome opportunities for us. And as people see what this sport can do, as they see this audience that we can reach, as I said, 70% of our fans don't watch traditional sports. So when brands out there are saying, wait, I need to reach this group that I'm just not getting to, we're an incredible pathway to do that, which is why you see us working with such incredible blue chip companies.
Yeah. Are you competing against the bigger leagues though? Because listen, I know there's enough space for everybody to operate. I firmly believe that. But you're going to have to get some of those young people who are looking at football and basketball. You're going to have to start to draw them in to be sustained. Are you, or can you do that? Is there enough room to go around? Or
there's enough room to go around. And I think there's a growth of sports and sports opportunity. I mean, even just look at like what esports has done over the last few years. There's opportunity to continue to grow this. I think that illusion that there's one sports fan and everybody's tugging on them, we're the exact proof that isn't true, right? We went out and talked to an audience of tens of millions of people who weren't tuning into traditional sports. We do have some overlap, things like auto racing. You can tell someone who loves high-speed racing is going to love high-speed racing, whether it's a drone or a car. So there's opportunities to overlap there. And so, I think there's some beautiful synergies there, but I agree with you. This is not some tiny market where we're all fighting for market share. This is about growing engagement. And our sport goes far beyond just the sports field. We've talked about all the things we do in STEM and tech. This is a whole conversation that branches into areas that are really important to this tech-centric digital native generation's lives.
Yeah. Listen, man, I appreciate that. Looking ahead and close now, I do know drone racing has been accepted into the 2025 World Games, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So how long before it gets become an Olympic sport? I know that's a push there, and technology, and you almost can see how it would work. But how long before you think we get there, being as though the Olympics is this summer now?
I think it will be soon. I think you're starting to see these games and things like the World Games, which is sort of the precursor step to the Olympics. The Olympics is trying to figure out how to incorporate some of these new sports, whether it's drone racing or esports or others. But the fact that they're focused on it, the fact that they're thinking about it, the fact that we've got 90 million fans around the world knocking on the door saying we want our sport to be part of this, it's really exciting. You said started this in 2015, and to be talking about whether or not it's going to be in the next Olympics. That's a pretty crazy journey.
Yeah. Look, you take you back to your analyst days, right? Look at the state of sports media, right? You're in this because you need distribution to see your content. You got Fox, ESPN, Warner Brothers kind of combining, Amazon kind of doing what they do locally. What do you see? What does Nick Horbaczewski see about the future of state media?
I think the biggest lesson for
sports media
for us and for everyone out there is the world changes really fast, and that didn't used to be true in media. You got to be incredibly nimble. You got to be watching, as you say, people are merging, people are separating, spinning up digital channels, linking digital channels to linear. You got to figure out at all times this idea of I've locked up the way I'm going to do media for the next 10 years and we're just going to let it be. That is not the rule anymore. You see us moving every year. We reevaluate how we're reaching people through what channels on, with what partners, you got to do that. It's gone from a really slow moving space to one that is moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and that it is our job to keep track of that so that we can make sure our fans get to watch what they want.
Well, you got a lot of young people that's watching Drone Racing League. If you had a big time media exec in front of your face that says, Nick, give me some advice, man. How do I get these young people to watch maybe the bigger sports on my channel, being as though we're in this media fragmentation right now? What would you tell that executive?
I'd say you got to give them content they're passionate about, right? I think that's the answer, is that, for them, this is a sport they really care about, and you're putting, I think we've had a great time with partners like ESPN in the past and NBC now. We're putting them side by side with traditional sports and saying to them, you're welcome here. You're welcome here. I think there used to be a lot of effort to say what was a sport and what wasn't a sport. Back in 2015 when I started, there was a lot of and now people have said the fans get to decide.
Yeah. As a CEO of a company, man, U.S. presidential race is here, right? What do you want to see and hear from the candidates? No picking sides. What do you want to see and hear from the candidates as this presidential race heats up?
We obviously think a lot about the drone space and drone regulation, and I think the FAA has done a great job in the last few years of navigating a complex situation. I'd love to hear the candidates say that we're going to keep pushing that. I think we should be a technology-first nation. We're a good example. We're right here in New York City building incredibly novel technology. We want the government to say, how do we encourage that versus how do we regulate it more carefully? So we're watching that, and we care a lot about the airspace and airspace issues and drone regulations and technology, autonomy. We do stuff with autonomous drones, so self-driving cars, what's going to happen with them? How are we saying, let's make our world better through technology as fast as we can?
Yeah. Looking at it, man, Forbes BLK, we have this great community here, and they always want to know things like big leadership books or best leadership books. But, listen, you were able to navigate through corporate America, again, analyst at Bain & Company, and you had a lot of background, and you were able to start your own company. So I wanted to ask you, what's the biggest pieces of advice that you would give an entrepreneur about starting their own company and then going to pitch it to major investors?
Wow, that's a big one. I would say you need to have a true passion for what you're building. I think sometimes I meet people and they say, I want to start a company versus I want to start this company. And I'd say that's a hard road to go down. This is a really challenging thing. There is a huge lift to build a company from nothing. You should have a real vision for what you're going to achieve, because that's what's going to drive you every day. Not the concept that I'm starting a business, not the brand that I'm an entrepreneur. It is, for me, it was taking drone racing to the world. And you have to have that inside you if you're going to go through the journey that is starting a company from scratch, recruiting a team, raising money, going through the good times, the bad times, all that.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, I usually do good to great one, but I'm going to do two for you because it's the Olympics, right? And I want to honor something that you love. So right fast, before I get you on the real good to great, let's do a Nick good to great, right? What is the difference between a good fencer and a great one? Because you love fencing, right?
I fenced in college.
Yeah.
I think it's about, I think difference between truly good and truly great is a lot about hand-eye coordination. It's a lot about being able to be so focused that you can actually slow the world down in real time in your head, because listening is a really fast sport. And so I think that's a big difference.
Yeah, now you have me watching fencing this Olympics, man.
Yeah,
a lot, man. But the real good to great, man. Listen, I'm in the market for one, right? And I keep on asking your president, Rachel, listen, I need a drone, right? And I go to these stores, I see the prices. One is $99, and I look online, another was $1,700. I know price is big, right? But I want to ask you, because this is your field. What's the difference between a good drone and a great one? Keep the consumer in mind, too, because we want to see it all and we want to have the good experience.
I think what's awesome about drone technology today is it's all really great. Most consumer drones today are really fantastic platforms. It's just, how good a camera do you need? How great of pictures do you want to take? How long do you want to be able to fly for? So I think for most consumers, the entry-level drones, I get asked all the time what drone to buy. The DJI Air is a phenomenal drone. That's sort of their entry-level drone, and it will do what people need for 90% of consumers. And then you can go up to the super high-end ones that you could film a Hollywood movie with. But the question, if you're not filming a Hollywood movie, then stick to the entry ones and get flying, because that's the most important thing. But truly, I would say, if you want to start flying drones, go find the DRL Sim on any of our platforms, X2X, PlayStation, Epic, Steam, and learn how to fly. Because learning how to fly in simulation, then when you pick up a real drone, you will be good to go.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the drone racing around New York City, man, right around the Nasdaq MarketSite, right?
We wouldn't mind. We wouldn't mind. Times Square would be a good site.
Epic, man. Everybody watching from the building, just watching these little drones go around. Nick, appreciate the time, man. Come back when you have closed your new raise, right?
I will.
See what that valuation is, and keep up the good work, man, with all the STEM work, man. And you're right. Love to see kids enter a new phase, and drones definitely is the future.
Can I do one personal shout out? Because less than 5% of women are pilots. A lot of what we're doing with USAF with women taking flight is to encourage them to think about it. So I want to give a shout out to my cousin, Abby Price, second lieutenant in the U.S. Air Force, just assigned to fly super tankers for us.
Beautiful.
She's up in the air. She's one of those examples of people taking women into the skies.
There you go. Abby, thank you so much for your service from here, us at the Nasdaq MarketSite and Forbes. Thank you, Abby. Nick, appreciate the time, man, and thank you for watching.